Hello everyone, this is your Pokemon Professor Valken aka Professor Val. Welcome to week 3 of transfers and next matchups. Basically, Pickems for the week, the SPL D-League match preview. For those who participated in the Pickems for the week 2, what were your picks and what are your scores, because we are gonna show. But before that, this were our 6 picks for the week and here are the results for those. Another week we got 6 out of 6, but I am still not happy because we got 6 out of 6 games, but we only got 1 out of the 6 MVPs, which was a Lucha getting 3 kills. That was the max kills any MVP we thought or talked about in the previous video. So the sets and strats we talked about were nowhere to be seen. Sadly, they saw a winning line which we didn't saw, I guess. Anywho, what was the biggest upset according to you? Let me know in the comments. Okay, especially for this week we have some amazing and big changes coming up in terms of transactions. Week 3 transactions, the first team to put out huge transaction this week was Kaz and Shiro from Halucha's Ring Party. They have dropped not 1, not 2, not 3, a whole 5 mons. Terra Zapdos, Excadrill, the Evolution Twins and Titar, all 5 has left the Halucha Ring Party. The house has been vacant and they have been filled by the new 5 mons, with Terra, Hoopa, Unbound making the biggest show. Terra, Driflim, Single Striker Shifu, Donphan as another spinner which they lost, and the ground they lost in Excadrill was filled with Donphan, and finally with the last 2 remaining points, a Terra Colossal has been picked up by Kaz and Shiro. I would say it's very interesting pickups and gonna be very interesting, like we talked about in the draft stream. Terra Hoopa being undrafted, especially with the point it was in a mid to low tier Terra mons, was a bit shocking, but especially I'm happy Kaz and Shiro found some lines they were struggling with, because they are 0-0 as per the record, as per the Fat Dog and currently. So the changes were very needed and they made some changes, and I hope this changes makes a dent into their score and gets them the first dub of the week. So let's move to the first matchup of the week, which is TJ versus DyeItTight. My boy, this game is gonna be interesting. I love Greninja, but Meow has such a good game this week. Biggest mod this week I'm gonna say is the Lando face-off for sure. Both teams having a Lando, Meow and Hands. This is gonna be the star lineup from both the sides this week. Let's talk about TJ first. Meow, pivot, cleaner, breaker, does everything in this game. Being able to outspeed Greninja, it surely goes Scarf Meow, because it can punish Scarf or even battle bound Greninja. It's just amazing. The speed creeps, the power creeps which we have seen in Gen 9 is so much closer. Meow is gonna be having the game of its life outside one ball. So let's talk about, while we go towards Dye side, when we talk about that, for the defensive sides of TJ, I think pivots like Aloe and Rachi, and with offensive pivot like we talked, Meow alongside Quaquaval is gonna be amazing in this game. Lando is a must bring as a breaker, especially for Iron Hands. Iron Hands is one of the only and biggest issue for Meow's Karata. The only thing which stops Meow from winning from the turn 1 is Hands. A max defensive Hands with helmet cannot just punishes Meow. If it's pads, then Metal Mon Greninja can punish it, or any Scarf Mon can punish something like that. So I think it's gonna be a very tough matchup for DyeItTight outside Hands for the Meow. Also, the other thing which TJ has as a check is Overkill. Overkill checks Swift Swim Basque Legion if he brings and decides to bring Manual Rain, because Overkill, even though he does not prefer Rain, just putting in Swift Swim ability just in case is always good, especially when you see an adaptability Swift Swim user which can run either way, and anything cannot outspeed TJ's Scarf Meow's Karata. The fastest mon on the field is gonna be slower than Meow's Karata, so it's gonna be a very tough fight. I think with the help of those and combination of Aloe, Rachi, Lando, Swift Swim, Cocoaval, I think end game of Cocoaval and Meow, either of them, depending upon which mon has gone down, can break and win the game for the side of TJ. Let's talk about Dye. I think, like I mentioned, it's going to be a very hard game for Greninja. Because of that, I think Greninja needs to be a Specs Revenge Killer this week. Try to get as many mons as it can before going down to Meow in the end. I think Heartflame and Lando needs to be the breakers as well as pivots this game. I think just lead or offensive Trailblaze Heartflame has like real to no switch-ins, because the only switch into its fire move is Aloe and Quark, which are weak to its grass move, and on the other way same for Rachi, resisting grass but weak to its other stat. So it's gonna be interesting matchup for Heartflame. It needs to do as much damage as it can, break the game, and hope Meow's Karata goes down because of hands, and then Greninja can win in the end. Yeah, I think that's the main check. And for the side of Terra captains, I think Terra Fez needs to show up here to not lose to Terra Ostrich. I think Terra Spatra can be threatening if it gets speed boost up, and being weak to it is gonna be very hard, even though it's very specially bulky. It being weak and it getting the excess of Shock is gonna be very brutal for Fez, and I think it can be going Terra Dark because of just that reason. Like I said, Specs Grin needs to clean up the game once Meow's Karata goes down. Let's talk about game number 2. The game number 2 we have is Nova versus Kaz and Shiro. The big team with 5 new changes. I think it's gonna be very interesting. A bit hard to adapt to 5 new changes straight up is gonna be something interesting and hard for them. In week 3 they have changed almost nearly half their team, so it's gonna be a bit hard, and I hope they don't take a lot to adjust, because Terra Hoopa Unbound looks amazingly strong in this game. It can be the biggest breaker or can be endgame sweeper with a scarf set. Once a few mons which are checks to it goes down, like Heatran, which can Nova can bring flame body, max defensive Heatran, and once the shell is broken on Terrapagos, Hoopa Unbound just goes bonkers. Yeah, and like for the side of Nova, Cinderace and Rillaboom are a very good offensive breaking pivots for this match, especially with U-turn on both the mons and priority Grassy Glide. Muk, on the other hand, is very specially bulky with AV, can check special Koopas alongside Terra Rhydon and Heatran for the physical bulk and physical sets are a good break. I think Scarf Annihilate can be a endgame sweeper alongside a Rock Polish Terrapagos as well. I think the 6 for me this game are gonna be Terrapagos, Cinderace, Rillaboom, Annihilate, Muk, and Heatran. Most likely those will be the 6 I would have bricked, but let's see how Nova brings and how the game goes. For the side of Kaz and Shiro, I think combination of Wellspring Ogerpon and Shifu Dark Wicked Blows can break a lot of opponents' team. There's like not a single mon which can check both of them together. So it's gonna be very hard to stop them to reserve some HP for an end game Terra Hoopa Unbound. They have some nice checks as well in Voger for Walking Wake, Gouging Fire for Center Ace. G-Weezing is also great to punish such offensive pivot teams with helmet bulky sets. And for the pivots of their own, they have both their breakers having access to U-Turn, which is Ogre and Shifu, and also Taunty being the regen defensive mon it always is. Come in, take a hit, U-Turn, get that health back with the regen. I think, like I said, Hoopa Unbound goes unchecked once a few of the mons like Terrapagus Shell and Heatran goes down. If it's physical, either Heatran or Mug, depending upon the physical or special sets of Hoopa, either one goes down, Hoopa can have a nice game and bring the first game dub for Kaz and Shiro, and that's gonna be the MVP for me as well. Let's go to the third match of the week. We have Standard versus Talon. Standard versus Talon, the biggest mod this matchup I would say are Rolling Moon, Greatest, Terra Rhyperia and defensive Zapdos. Moon and Terra Rhyperia needs to be the breakers in this matchup for Standard. Pecha with Parting Shot, Moon and Scissor with U-turns can keep help momentum and favorable matchups, and Pecha with Parting Shot, like I said, can be a good disruptive and help make him a great doubles for his setup sweepers or offensive pivots to come in and just keep the momentum in his side. On the defensive side, I mean, Shaman with Helmet Synthesis can be a decently good check into Great Tusk and Hisuian Samurott. While Scarf Enam looks crazy strong, but it can only be the cleaner once Terra Hydreigon, which I think is going to be a Terra Poison this week, goes down, or Regieleki is chipped down for like 1 or 2 hits to take it down. On the side of Talon, I think Boulder with dual stab and CC can be a great breaker into Standard, or it can be a Scarf booster set for the endgame Enam chip. Pivot, I think Zapdos, defensive Zapdos and Hydreigon keep momentum while dealing damage for Admin Scarf Boulder to click buttons. Combination of defensive Tusk and Zapdos can check almost all mons except Enam and Bold, which still can check if it comes. I think Terra Hydreigon, especially Poison, and Scarf is booster Boulder. Most likely, I think it's gonna be a Scarf. Can finish off the game cleanly once Enamorous or Rhyperior goes down or are chipped enough for them to clean up in the end. Due to that, I think Zapdos can be the MVP on the defensive side, or Boulder can be the offensive match MVP, getting as many knockouts as it can for Talon, and I think Talon will be the winner in this matchup and getting the dub for his team. That's it for the game 3 of this week. We have week 3 game number 4, which is between Kurpie and DRey Grandmaster. This is one of the most anticipated match for me of this week, because the top mons in this week are gonna be Darkrai, Dragonite, Terra Slowbro, Terra Dozo and offensive Garchomp. For Kurpie, I think Ape alongside Metagross are gonna be important breakers. For setup, Dragonite or Scarf, Darkrai to be the cleaners in the end game. Terra Slowbro is the ultimate pivot machine alongside Infernape for offensive switch initiatives. Special defensive Clef can be a great check into bundle and T-Wave it, and can also set up screens for the team. And Annihilate can be physically offensive, or can be specially is one of those mods which can run either. It's normally seen run physically but can run special, especially because it gets access to Grass Knot, and which can be a great bring into a Dondozo and force it to Terra as much as early possible. which I think is going to be a great bring because of the offensive physical threats Kurpie has. So Grass Knot on Annihilate can be a Infernape can be a great bring. For the side of DRey, I think breakers like Bundle can be a good breaker this game with substitute for Klefki, T-Wave can be a good bring. So alongside Scarf, Enchao or Zorua can also check and stop E-Speed from Dragonite, or just Scarf being able to outspeed +1 Dragonite, which I think is gonna be DD set this week around and not banded or something like that. So being able to triple axle or being immune to E-Speed is always gonna be amazing. Heat Tom and Scarf, Main Chow with Chili, Cloaking are good pivot options for the matchup, while Terradozo is a great check for physical D-Knight and Metagross as well as all the other physical mons. But the only mon it needs to be worried about is special Infernape with Grass Knot. He needs to play around it. If he does, then Terradozo can just sit on a lot of mon and check a lot of mon. For me, I think the cleaners for this matchup are going to be Unaware, Setup, Dozo. Can pack a punch like last week. I did not see Dozo coming, let alone get 4 kills like DRey got in week 2 of the game. If you haven't, go check it out. Sorry for the spoilers, but yeah, you should have watched the game by now. It's almost 6 days of the upload. Okay, but the real cleaner for this game, especially for DRey, I think is gonna be a offensive Chomp. If it can get scale shot, and especially if it can get SD plus scale shot up, there's no mon which can stop Garchomp winning this game all alone by himself. If he gets a SD plus scale shot off, the game is just over. But I think that's gonna be a very hard line for DRey to get both of those up. He can either get the scale shot out to being able to outspeed and then get revenged by a Scarf Dry or mons like Infernape, something stuff like that. So it needs to go SD and scale shot. It needs to be both. So, but I think if it gets cheers to him, he might just win the game. But I think Scarf Dry and on the offensive side or Terra Slowbur on the defensive sides are great bring for Kurpie, and that will help him get the dub for this week. Let's move on to the game number 5 for the week. We have Dashing versus DapperSnapper. This week, this is the matchup we not only see an Unburden face-off, but also Deoxys face-off as well. The top mons this games are gonna be Sneasler, Offensive Dio Speed, Terra Like a Rock, and Ground. For me, I think Dashing Chiyu needs to be the breaker role, as Scarf Chiyu cannot outspeed Dio Speed. Alongside the minimum speed, base speed a mon needs to have is 103 to outspeed max speed Dio Speed. So Chiyu falls short by 3 base speed, which I think is gonna be the result of it not being the Scarf this week, I think. And it can break alongside Terra Lycan Rock for Sneasler. Endgame, because cleanup from Sneasler, which I think can be Endure Lychee Berry with Sword Stance CC Diaclaw. The combination of CC Diaclaw, the dual stabs are enough for the entirety of the team. If it gets SD up and can proc its Unburden with Endure Lychee, it can just win on its own, can 6-0 the entire team. I mean 5-0 the entire team, because there's one threat to that set, which is Priority Aqua Jet with huge power Azumarill. The only line Dashing needs to see is get Azumarill down, then Sneasler can just win. Max defense, Tinglu takes around 99% minimum from plus to close combat. So I think it's gonna be very very interesting, and I think he might be able to get the dub if and only if Azumarill goes down, or if it's choice bandit locked into a non-priority move. It's those lines he needs to be looking for. For the defensive side, I think can very well check its counterpart. Dio defense can very well check its counterpart and also set up hazards with threats. Can check Hattrain and Tragalge, while defensive Clef with unaware counters both the Terra Mons. They can boost up as much as they want. Unaware Clef is such an amazing mod to stop mons like that. Slow teleport with Dio can get some nice momentum along with Clef for setup or revenge killers to get some alongside Wash Normal World Switch. For the side of Dapper, I think offensive Dio speed can be a great breaker, and Revenger being able to outspeed all Scarfers 103 and under, like I said, which forces Threads and Sneasler to be scarfed or not able to revenge another breaker. For me, I would just lead Crown with setup and do as much damage as it can, because only recovery mon viable for this matchup is Clef and Dio speed, Dio defense, which does not like taking Tachyon cutters as well. Tinglu is a great check into Chiyu and Threads, with able to shrug off good damage from all mons while getting up hazards of its own. I don't see a lot of pivot coming this week outside maybe Flip, Tragalge or Uton Ogre, of which I think only one of them can make a slot in the main 6. So it's gonna be a tough game of repositioning and raiding doubles. And once he has the right mon on the field, Dapper has an amazing game, a much easier game compared to Dashing, but the pivot game for Dashing is gonna be much more easier. I would say Bandit Azu with Aqua Jet goes a long way here, with Dio speed as endgame cleaners if lead Crown breaks for the team. I think a double dance, or depending upon if he thinks any mons which are there, 3 mons which faster than Crown, if any of those are going to be scarf, it can be bulky, weakness policy, agility set, or it can be booster speed, calm mind, free attack set, which can be amazing into Dashing Steam. But even though I think the MVP and the game win goes to Dapper, just because Bandit Azumarill looks amazing in this game. I don't think so Psychic Terrain comes in this matchup, which is gonna be interesting, which I thought is gonna be coming both week 1 and week 2, but it has not. But this is the week I am speculating for Terrain to not come. If he brings it, like, all my reads are just opposite, but somehow the win goes to their way. Okay, let's move on to week number 6. My bad. Game number 6 of the week 3, we have Showdown Shoguns by Lax versus A12. The last matchup for the week, and the top mons this game are gonna be Valiant. Valiant is always gonna be the top mon in any matchups. Palafin and Terra Doggy are with him for the top contenders this week. I think for Lex, there's no more flexible than Well, especially in Bell decks, and I think we can see a breaker set this week with Scarf, Life Orb or Booster Speed. While Booster Speed is not the most reliable, especially with the mons A12 has, Scarf and Life Orb makes much more sense. Along with Moth to check it weakness like Weavile and Golden Bow. While Suicune being the bulky water it normally is, it's a must bring here to check Palafin and Golden Go make it rain and the water stab from Palafin. The pivots like Cycle gives a good spin and pivot with Newton, and it can also punish Golden Go coming in on spin with Temple Flare, which doubles in power if the previous move have failed, which could be a good nice niche bring and can catch A12 off guard, but spin into Temple Flare with a base 150 power fire super effective move can be a good bring for Lax. Like Rosma or Dual Dance Gliscor can bring home the dub if Corviknight and or Pelifin are taken care of. If those two mons are low or just taken care of before the mon sets up, Necrozma or Gliscor, they can have a good game this week. On the side of A12, I think Choicebent Pelifin is of course the brink here. It can be the breaker with V-While and can be amazing in this game. It can also be an end game cleaner alongside Terra setup Okidogi once Suikin gets dealt with. Either Terra Okidogi or Pelifin can win depending upon who's alive. If Terra Suikin goes down, or if it's non-water resisting Terra, then Pelifin just wins on its own. If it's very hard to take Suikin down, then Terra Okidogi can help around that. For checks, in checks, I think Corviknight is a nice check for Gliscor and Physical Valiant, while Toxapex can check Special Valiant and Moth for the team alongside Chelsea. V-While and Finn with Flip Turn and U-Turn are amazing with Corviknight to provide defensive pivots, and Regen Toxapex to set up T-Spikes once Moth goes down. Terra Okidogi and Banded Finn has no answer once everything are bit chipped up. So with that conclusion, I think A12 gets the dub, with Pelifin being the MVP for the week. So those are my 6 lookouts for the matchups. Let's talk about what we think. Let's give an overview about all the 6 teams we think are gonna be winning this week. So these are the 6 teams we have picked. TJ and TJ versus DRey, Kaz Shiro for the matchup of No versus Kaz Shiro, Talon in Standard versus Talon, Kurpie in the matchup of Kurpie versus DRey, Dashing versus Dapper, we have chose Dapper to win it all, and finally A12. While the MVPs of all the 6 games for me are gonna be Meowscarada for TJ, Hoopa, Terra Hoopa Unbound for Kaz Shiro, defensive Zapdos or offensive Boulder for the side of Talon, DRey, offensive DRey or defensive Slowbro for Kurpie, and Banded, offensive Banded Huge Power Azumarill for Dapper, and finally Pelifin for the side of A12. are gonna be the 6 MVPs for the 6 winners this week. I hope you guys like the video, and if you guys do like it, please let me know how are you guys liking style, the week 1, the deep analysis of each mod one by one, or in general talking about the checks, the cleaners, what the mods, the roles, which are the gaps, the lines are needed to be filled in that particular matchup. Do let me know, and I hope you guys like the video, and if you do, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys in week 4.